Welcome back to Chin Music, our baseball show at talknorth.com. Roy, I remember writing a piece before the season started, lauding the Twins for the way they hit second half of last year and pointing out that, hey, you know, with the guys like Julian and Wallner in the lineup, this team's going to be able to score a lot of runs again. All of a sudden, Julian, Kirilloff, Wallner are all in the minor leagues. And of course, I can't really rip them for that offense because they scored like 85 runs the last two games, but things are not proceeding as I expected. Let's get Royce Smalley's and LaVelle Neal's thoughts on those developments. Again, this is Chin Music, our baseball show at talknorth.com. Best way to listen is to subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen. You can also just go to talknorth.com, check out this show's, all the other shows that you love, sports, outdoors, and variety. Thank you to Minnesota Masonic Charities, Twill in the Edina Galleria, Chew Vision Institute, and Your Boat Club. And we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studio, and Davide is our producer today. All right, Roy, you're the hitting expert. What's going on with these young hitters, and does it mitigate their failures that the team has actually scored a lot of runs the last couple of games?
Yeah, I think it does. Very rarely does somebody come up and have it figured out for their first three consecutive seasons. I mean, it takes a while at this level to figure out who you are and how you hit big leagues, even though you've hit everywhere else, like Julian has done, like Kirilloff has done, like Wallner has done. There were some exposures, some things that got exposed on those guys after a nice first season. They had to back it up with adjustments and not able to do that yet. Doesn't mean that they won't. This is kind of a classic pattern. Guys just don't break from the gate and run 2 years out there. Royce Lewis notwithstanding, he's a different sort of cat. But what we've been talking about has been, if Correa's healthy and Buxton's healthy, and Royce Lewis is healthy, that those three guys could really help carry the club. And we're starting to see that a little bit of life from Buck lately. Of course, Royce Lewis has been out of his mind, and Correa has been as good as it gets. And then you throw in, occasional Kepler, and you get big production from Carlos Santana, and all of a sudden it's a pretty good lineup. So it really just is about keeping that going, keeping that consistency. And as I said before, you just remember what Tom Kelly said: don't forget how you did it.
We love it on this show having Roy to break down the major league player and broadcaster experience and perspective. LaVelle Neal, longtime Twins beat writer, now Star Tribune columnist. I'm Jim Souhan. I also covered the Twins for a long time and read a column for the Star Tribune. LaVelle, what do you think the organizational view of Julian, Wallner, and Kirilloff is at the moment? Just they need to fix a couple things, they need to polish up, or is there some real concern they won't be big league hitters?
I think it's different for each player. I think with Julian, there's some adjustments he needs to make. He got into a rut, and he likes taking pitches and working counts, and that's a great trait to have. There has to be maybe a little bit more of a blend when he gets aggressive at the right time in the count. He also got fed a steady diet of off-speed stuff that he needs to make adjustments to. I think that accelerated his demise. In terms of Matt Wallner, Wallner had issues in spring training. With his swing, with his setup, and everything, to the point where they pulled him out of a spring training game for him to go work on trying to find something that's mechanically comfortable for him that would allow him to get the bat to the ball, get the head out, and do damage. And we didn't see that at the beginning of the year. And he's been at St. Paul now for several weeks. He's hitting for power. I mean, there's been some games where he's been the Matt Wallner that the Twins saw last year down there at St. Paul. I'm not sure how consistent it's coming, because they didn't call Warner up when they sent down Kirilloff. They called up Austin Martin today, which is Thursday. So apparently there's some things that he still has a way to go in order to figure out how he can be successful on the major league level. As far as Kirilloff, I think there's some bafflement going on. with the front office and the coaching staff. He's healthy. He's as healthy as he's been in the last 3 years. There's nothing wrong with his shoulder. There's nothing wrong with his wrist. And the Twins can't understand why he's not producing at the plate. A year ago, when him and when Kirilloff and Larnach were getting fed the steady diet of off-speed stuff, a year ago, Kirilloff was making adjustments to that and having success. He is not making those same adjustments this year, and that's been a concern to the coaching staff. Larnach is actually trying to make adjustments, so you see him stick around. But it's really surprising because you think about all the left-handed talent this team has. The Twins have a 701 OPS against right-handed pitchers, and that's an indictment on all the left-handed hitters. And for this team to get things turned around or find some consistency, they got to find a way to do better against right-handed pitchers. And it's on the lefties to make the necessary adjustments. Kepler has to get going as well. So this is troubling to see. I think, with Wallner and Julian, they expect those guys, and they hope those guys can figure something out and get back to the majors. But I don't know. I think Kirilloff has hit himself into a crossroads here because now he has no excuses from a health standpoint to put up numbers, and he's not doing it.
One talented guy goes down, one talented guy comes back up. Austin Martin, who had a cup of coffee earlier in the season, he went to St. Paul and he drew an amazing number of walks. His offensive numbers were good, but especially his on-base percentage. Let's start with LaVelle this time. What are the hopes for Austin? What's his upside?
Well, his upside is that, and you remember when they traded for him, Derek Falvey said this the day the Barrios trade was made, that they were infatuated with Martin coming out of college. They thought he was the best hitter in the draft. They tried to see if he could hit for some power or drive the ball a little bit more, and that was met with disastrous. It was a disaster trying to get him to do that. So he's kind of gone back to what he has been in the past, which is a strong contact hitter with good back-to-ball skills and a good eye at the plate. And he can be an asset in a lineup like this, especially when other guys are struggling. Just getting guys on base, changes the outcome of innings and changes the outcome of games. And if they could just take advantage of that, what he's doing well right now, that would help the offense. So don't expect Martin to start, hitting homers and triples and doubles and things like that. But he's going to have good at-bats, and he's going to fall off pitches, and he's going to take close pitches and figure out ways to get on base. And, yesterday, notwithstanding, the 24 hits they amassed against a god-awful Rockies pitcher staff, notwithstanding, they need plenty of that going forward here if they want to get on some level of consistency in offense. Roy,
do you view Austin Martin as a kind of a super utility player or somebody who could really be a guy?
It's too early to say. I like his upside. I like his potential because I like just in watching him stand in the batter's box and approach pitches. I like I like the plane of his bat, the big end of his bat that coming through the zone. I like his knowledge of the strike zone. He doesn't seem to be overwhelmed at all. He hasn't had great numbers in his big league stints, but he has not looked overwhelmed. I don't see any body language that makes me think that he doesn't think he can do it up here. So, if he can continue to draw the walks, it's different. It's different up here. Guys throw a lot more strikes, and even though I'd like to see pitchers walk about half as many guys as they do now anyway, it's still probably currently half as many as they walk in the minor leagues. So it's not it's not a foregone conclusion that he'll come up and start drawing a lot of walks. But he has the ability to do two things that would lead that way. He has a good eye at the plate. He knows how to take a walk. And I've seen him foul off a lot of tough pitches. And when you're able to battle through at bats, a lot of those end up in walks. So I think he's got a chance. I don't think he's ever going to be a power hitter. He'll launch one occasionally, but I don't think that they should try to make him that at all. I think they should say, you get on base. You hit line drives and get on base and see where that gets you and see where that gets us. And I would not bet against him being okay in that regard.
A lot more topics I want to get to here. We're talking on Thursday afternoon, coming off the Twins scoring 85 runs or whatever it was on Wednesday. Obviously, we're talking more big picture stuff than specific game stuff. We do want to thank Your Boat Club.
Got the winter blues? Start planning your summer. Plan on fun and get out in the water with Your Boat Club. Your Boat Club offers boat club memberships and daily rentals with access to over 40 bodies of water and over 400 brand new boats to enjoy. Whether you want to cruise on a pontoon, create waves in a speedboat, or reel in a big one on a fishing boat, Your Boat Club has got you covered. Unlimited boating memberships are available now, starting at just $1.99 a month after a one-time initiation. Life is better on the water. Find out more today at yourboatclub.com.
I also want to tell you about Twill in the Edina Galleria. One thing, I talk in general about Twill a lot. The Peter Millar Summer Comfort golf shirt. So not just golf shirts. I've been wearing them a lot lately. I've worn them to play golf. I've packed them for my trips to Dallas during the Timberwolves playoff run. I just took one out of the dryer. I can't find a way to wrinkle them, and I wrinkle everything. They're beautiful shirts. They're incredibly comfortable. You could wear it under a jacket. You could just wear it to golf. You could wear it hanging around the house, untucked, whatever. Probably my new favorite shirt. That's the kind of stuff you get at Twill with Scott Dayton hand-selecting his vendors, hand-selecting what he runs in his store. So go there. Go to Twill in the Edina Galleria. Check out twillmn.com. Sign up for the email updates, and you'll get information on sales and other events. Just check it out and tell Scott we sent you. Pablo Lopez hasn't gone well. On Wednesday, he at least got through 5 innings, didn't walk anybody, gets the victory. Is this just a slow start, or is there something bigger going on here? Let's start with Roy.
Well, I think it's a slow start because he hasn't been as sharp. I don't know if that's something bigger going on, but you see a lot of fastballs right in the middle of the zone early in counts. You see the sweeper has not worked very well at all. It has not been consistent, to put it mildly, and he's gotten hurt with it a lot. And I noticed, speaking of body language, or at least what looks like how a guy is reacting to different things. I've thought since last year that his sweeper is not his best pitch, but I think it's his most important one, because when it's working well, the fastball and changeup are better. When it's not working well, you just see it in him. To me, he fails to make the pitches with his fastball and changeup to come back from not really having a sweeper. So, in my mind, as a hitter, I think that the sweeper has been the biggest issue. He's gone through streaks where he's had it working really well, and he's been dominant. But if he doesn't have that, and he has to rely on fastball changeup, there's been a few too many of those in the middle of the plate. I think hitters are saying, look, he's going to throw me a fastball every time up, and I'm just going to be ready for that. And then they react to the sweeper in the middle of the plate, and they hit that, and they react to the occasional changeup that's in the middle, and they hit that. So I really think it's a question of that of the command of the sweeper again.
I think Roy hit the nail right on the head with that sweeper. That was a great pitch for him last year. And when it's going good, he's more than just a 2-pitch pitcher. But this year he's had trouble controlling the sweeper. And, hitters are starting to subtract that pitch when they try to figure out what he's about to throw next. And that hurts a pitcher when they're having trouble with one specific pitch. So I think Roy is right with that. But also, too, he still puts pitches over the middle of the plate. And that's got to stop, the changeup or the fastball, and, center cut pitches have gotten him in trouble. It's weird because since he's joined the Twins, opponent's line drive percentage actually has dropped both years. It's like less this year than it was a year ago, but he's getting up more fly balls. And I think that's because he's centering more pitches. They just aren't hit like rockets. But it's weird how one thing works one year and it doesn't work the next year because that sweeper was a big pitch for him. And He's got to get under control, which means there's still time. We know he's working hard. You know, his makeup says that he's going to stay with it and try to figure out a way to become a whole pitcher again. So you just think that eventually something's going to click, and he's going to rediscover the feel and the command for that pitch, and get back to being the force he was with the sweeper. But I know, just watching him and how he goes about his business, you just have confidence that he's going to figure this out sooner or later, and hopefully he'll have a strong second half of the season.
I want to talk about Thielbar. I want to talk about Correa, Royce Lewis, also just the crazy nature of this silly sport that we spend so much time thinking about. First, though, I want to thank one of our newer sponsors across the TalkNorth.com platform, True Vision Institute. John Krasinski is going to go get LASIK there.
Yeah, True Vision Institute in Bloomington. I was there earlier this week to get a consultation for LASIK surgery. Found out I'm a great candidate for it, and super easy to set up an appointment. Go in there. They run you through a bunch of tests. Their people are very nice, and they will give you a straight up and honest answer for your options for your vision correction. And I am looking forward to having LASIK at True Vision once the playoffs are over. So go to truevision.com to set up your appointment, and you won't be disappointed at all. Great people at True Vision.
Also want to thank Minnesota Masonic Charities.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota, or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
And I want to remind you, we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. We do appreciate you listening. Remember to subscribe. Royce Lewis, I've run out of things to say, so let me ask a question. Does he have a chance to be one of the 5 or 10 best players in the game, or am I getting out over my skis? LaVelle, start.
No, you're not. Well, he's played with 79 career games. He's got 22 homers. I mean, that's ridiculous. Or is it 82 or something like that? That's still a ridiculous pace of power hitting. And he hasn't had a lot of major league experience. So you're still wondering if there's going to be a point where major league pitchers find a flaw in what he likes to go after, or find a flaw in his swing and start to exploit it. But right now they haven't. And when he sees the ball and gets his foot down, he's doing damage at the plate, man. He's a great athlete. He's a above average third baseman. And we know what he means in that clubhouse, from a spirit and attitude and optimistic standpoint here. But if he can stay on the field and avoid these injuries, and you get worried because it's not just like from getting hit in the wrist with a pitch. It's not from colliding with a wall. It's 2 ACLs in a quad. Is this just a start of something that's going to dog him for his career? I sure hope not, because I want to see him healthy for long stretches of time to see what type of numbers he puts up. Now, that could be detrimental to the Twins, because since his agent, Scott Boras, there's no way Scott Boras is going to let Royce Lewis sign a long-term deal just to stay under control with the Twins. He's going to run that baby down to free agency and try to get a $600 million contract. So that's the only bad part about Lewis realizing his potential, is that that could mean the exit from Minnesota. But man, when he gets in the batter's box, you think he's going to do damage, and not just like, hit a single up the middle or find a gap in the defense. You think he's going to come up with an extra base hit or hit the ball into the seats, or even a second deck at target field. It's entertaining to watch. I mean, he's one of the reasons people should buy tickets to watch the Twins game. The Twins play is because of Royce Lewis.
So I think that you guys are not out over your skis, but I think that you're a little too excited about him on one ski now, slalom skiing, rather than just two skis here for a while.
What about snowboarding?
He's a terrific athlete, and he can hit. I believe that he's going to be one of the key players in Major League Baseball. I really do believe that. I don't believe that it's going to be without the requisite hiccups and slumps and different things, but that every hitter, and especially every young hitter, goes through. He hasn't had a full season in the big leagues yet. The pace that he's on is mind-boggling, but it's pace. It isn't 162 games yet. He hasn't gotten, I don't know how many at-bats he has total, but it's sub 500, I'm sure. And I mean, there will be some pitcher or pitchers that figure out a couple of things and start exposing, the need for Royce to adjust at some point in time. Okay. So I've said that. That's the caveat. I don't think we should let that bother us for these reasons. A, he can hit a big league fastball, and corollary to he can hit a big league fastball up in the zone. He can turn it around. So you start there and say, okay, he's in good shape. He does not sell out to hit the fastball, so that he's also able to adjust to off-speed pitches. So he can hit a big league fastball. He rarely misses a cookie in the middle of the plate. Somebody hangs something, and he rarely fails to hit the snot out of that pitch. And he's getting there with laying off sliders that are breaking down and away. And he's got an incredible ability. Even if that slider is down but over the middle of the plate, he can be out in front. But his hands are back, and he has this incredible ability. You don't see. You just don't see this very often, where he can stop himself from spinning off of that and hit back through the ball almost, at such lightning speed. He changes what looks like is going to be, I'm trying to pull this, to, no, I'm just going to hit the ball over the center field fence because it's down and away from me. It's remarkable to me. So those talents that he has, those three hitting talents, hitting fast, any fastball, never, very seldom missing cookies, and then being able to adjust to off-speed stuff, showing that he's got the ability. He won't always do it, but showing he has the ability. I just don't see how he can miss being a star on a consistent basis. How high is his ceiling? I mean, is it one of the top 5? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't think we're going to be disappointed. Whatever it is, I don't think we're going to be disappointed.
By the way, 320, I lost it here, 313 plate appearances, 287 at-bats, 22 homers. In his big league career, his OPS right now is 956. So he's doing okay.
It's astonishing. I mean, it really is astonishing.
Yeah. And like you said, Roy, I mean, we do kind of wait for him to have a bad stretch, but when he's healthy, he just hasn't had one yet. I'm sure it will happen, but man, he's so smart. I just think he's going to figure things out. Let's go to Thielbar now. Just a bad spurt, or are there real concerns here? Let's start with Roy.
I have real concerns. It could be just a bad stretch because he's not throwing the ball where he wants to at all. He has the 2 breaking balls that have treated him really, really well. He's been really tough on left-hand hitters because of the 2 speeds and the 2 trajectories, and being able to throw those where he wants to. And those pitches are getting him behind in counts, or they're staying over the middle of the plate, and both left-handers and right-handers are hitting those, which is a concern. I mean, at the very least, Rocco, I think, would want to say, I've got a stretch here. I'm going to bring in Thielbar to pitch to 3 hitters, 2 of whom are left-handed, and he's got to get those 2 out. And that has not been the case so much. And then the fastball, which has been a weapon because of such a surprise pitch after those breaking balls, it just looks to me like hitters are not as concerned about the breaking balls. And when they get a fastball in the middle plate, that it has not been missed. So it could be that all of a sudden he can find location again. He can find command of all three of them, which has been kind of his thing here the last couple of years. But it just remains to be seen because it's just really not there right now.
I know it's worth to watch too, because it's such a great story for him. Spending 3 seasons with the Twins and then kind of leaving baseball for like 4 years and coming back in 2020 and then do what he's done. It's remarkable. But he's 37 and you're seeing signs that, he just isn't as sharp as he's been in recent years. He's getting hit and he's walking 5.2 batters per 9 innings. You cannot be a reliever coming out of the bullpen with that. So it just looks like it's command and just its sharpness of pitches. It's starting to leave him for a little bit. Can he turn it around? Absolutely. But you get worried that as you get into the mid 30s and beyond, that once it goes, can you get it back? And I'm worried that Caleb won't be able to get it back. But he's done so much good stuff. And like I said, it's a great story for him to. Not too many people leave baseball and come back, or leave the majors and find a way back like he did. He's been effective, and he's gone to camps to improve his velocity, and he's throwing like 95, 96, and you just see him kind of continue to remake himself and become a renaissance man in order to stay in the majors as long as he has. But he's got to get his control back, and I'm guessing there's some self-doubt there now because he's getting hit a little bit, so he may not be trusting his stuff like he did last year and the year before. So I'm sure there's a Miller hurdle he's got to clear to get through this one, but it ain't looking good right now.
So Roy, did you ever get 5 hits in a game?
I don't think I ever got 5 hits. I got 4 a bunch, but it seems like I'd remember if I got 5, so I'm going to say no.
It's funny, when I started covering the Twins, of course, I was covering the Twins coming off their championship years, and Puckett was around, and all the main characters were still there. And I think the coaches and his teammates were more amazed by his 6-hit game in Milwaukee than they were by the Game 6 home run in the 9-1 World Series. They really couldn't believe that Kirby got not only 6 hits, but 6 hits in a kind of an important game where every hit mattered. Why are they capable of having a game like that? 6 hits, 5 hits. Seems like, the odds are so much against that happening, Roy.
The odds are incredibly against that, obviously. First of all, it takes, it's just a combination. It takes great talent with a bat in your hand. It takes pitches that you, when you get pitches you can hit, you don't miss them. So that's a little bit of a what kind of streak am I in? Am I really seeing the ball well? Am I laying off tough pitches and so I get a good pitch to hit? So it's talent and it's approach at the time. It's the stretch that you're in. And a little bit of it is matchups, what pitchers are out there and whether or not it fits your style of hitting with the stuff that they throw up there. I would say that, what Puck did in 87 with that 6 for 6, you weren't trying to understate, the importance of what he did every at bat. But you were understating it. You couldn't help it because I will just tell you, it's impossible to overstate it. He got us a lead and then we gave it back and then he tied it back up and then we got down. Then he tied it up again and then put us ahead. And when it got right down to it in the final, I think it was the 9th, but it might have been the 8th. It was either the 8th or 9th. We're down a run and the score's tied or something. It's that close. And they brought in Dan Plesac, their closer, hard-throwing left-hander, and Puck just raked one off the right center field wall to win the game for his 6th hit. And it's impossible to say how incredible that was. I mean, I personally have never seen anything like it in the big leagues. I'm sure there have been guys, like Mattingly and Brett, you guys of my era that I should remember. But having games like that, but I don't. I just don't remember Puck, anybody doing what Puck did. And then you look at what Correa did with, getting 5 hits, and it's just not easy to do. You got to have a lot of talent, a lot of things going right.
Man, I keep hearing about this Puckett game in Milwaukee over and over again when you talk about the great things he's done in his career. And you sit there and think about 6 hits, and it's mind-boggling. And for years, I think they finally took it out a couple years ago, but even in the new Miller Park, they had a picture in a press box commemorating that game, which I thought was amazing for a visiting player to get that type of recognition on a road stadium, against a road opponent on the road. But that's the great thing about this game is that when you come to the ballpark, regardless of how many years you've been covering ball or how many games you watched, you haven't seen it all, and so when you show up at a ballpark every day, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't. I had not seen a cycle in person. I think Javi Valentin had a chance for a cycle like in the early 2000s. And I think he had a double. He usually triple away and had a double and tried to stretch into a triple to get the cycle and got thrown out. And then finally I saw one when Polanco had one in Philadelphia last year. So it took me that long to actually see a cycle in person. 4 home run games. Never seen one. Now, I was in Chicago when Morneau hit 3 home runs in his first 4 at-bats against the White Sox, and he came up, I believe, in the 8th inning with a chance for 4. So I'm sitting there, how am I going to write this? What if he, makes history here? Of course, he swung at the first pitch was like eye high, and he swung at it and missed and hit himself in the head with his bat in disgust and didn't have a chance the rest of the at-bat. So, 6 hit games is just amazing. I've been fortunate to watch 1 no-hitter and cover 2. David Wells' perfect game, Eric Milton's no-hitter, and when I was working in Kansas City, Brett Saberhagen threw 1 against the White Sox, I believe. And those are the 3. Near no-hitters, yep. 6 hits, I don't know how many people can say they've been in a stadium for something like that. That's a really small subset of people who have been able to see something that they probably never saw before. So that's just the beauty of the game, man. Despite 162 games a year, and despite if you're a baseball fan for a lifetime, which means you've gone to games for like 30, 40 years, you still may go to the ballpark and see something that you've never seen before.
I'll tell you one moment that you kind of brought up as Roy was talking about Puckett and how special he could be. Not the most consequential time, but opening day 93, Puckett had just signed the big contract. He's facing Alex Fernandez, who at that time was nasty. He was the White Sox ace, opening it in the Metrodome. And I swear to you, Alex Fernandez threw a pitch that I think would have hit Puckett in the neck had he not swung at it. And he hit it a home run to deep right field. It's like, most people would have been ducking, and he hit not only, I still can't explain it, Roy. He could do things that you just could not explain.
Well, that's the definition of genius. There's no question about it. And he was a genius baseball player, and you really have a hard time explaining genius. I can't explain Rod Carew, and I can't explain Kirby Puckett. It's just true genius.
Hey, good stuff, gentlemen. I appreciate it. We'll catch up next week. Twins have a homestand where they should be able to make some hay here. They're still in the 3rd wild card spot as we're talking here. Have some work to do in the division, but I don't know. I feel like if Pablo and Buxton get going, that'll solve a lot of this team's problems. We'll keep you up to date on that. Thanks to all our sponsors, all of our listeners. Thanks to Davide for recording, and we'll talk to you next week.